Welcome to the 7th episode of Ponder the Couch. We have special guest John Robinson with us. It's Silly Steve.
Yes.
Today we're talking about Christmas. Xmas. I wrote it as Xmas. Talking about Christmas, and then we're going to talk about 3 things with Christmas. Should you tell your kids about Santa? Yes or no? If yes, why? If no, why? And then we're going to talk about the origins of Christmas. Is there any kind of paganistic thing in there? And then the last part will be, oh gosh, what's the last one? Our hope. Why we celebrate Christmas. Yeah. All right. So, let's kick this off. John, how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids.
You have 4 kids? What are their ages?
13, 10, 9, and 5.
And you have 4 kids. And they're...
I have the 9 and the 5. I don't have a 13 and 10. I have a 9, 5, and 14 month and 60-day-old.
And I have no children yet, but I have one on the way, being here in May.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So, guys, as parents, what do you guys think about the Santa Claus discussion? Should you tell your children about Santa Claus? Do you kind of go along with that myth?
What do you do, Steve?
I'll be honest. The first time, I was playing along with it with the oldest one, and then, I think she was still ish when the 5-year-old was of age to start questioning things, but we went along for a while just out of fun, and it seemed like the spirit of the season was robbing a child of joy. If you're like, no, he's not real, I don't want to be a demon to them. So I thought it was really fun, but the second that questions were more detailed and not oh, look, I got presents, it was more of I thought Jesus was the only one with powers. Those are the ones I didn't want to lie about. So I made it clear that, okay, baby, there is only one man that can, know everything and be everywhere at one time. And, and then she started to put together, so is this just a fun idea? And I'm like, yes, you're very smart. I love you, but it's not, I don't want to lie to you about it. But I said that the same time that was happening, my second oldest was questioning. I can look at her in the face to this day and say, Santa's not real. She's like, yes, you shut up. She just refuses to believe. But I think they know. I mean, I think they both are aware. They do love the idea of hey, it's really fun, but they know. To answer your question, I don't think it's wrong, unless you're getting weird with the nature of God about Santa Claus. I don't think it's wrong to say, hey, we're gonna teach them that it's fun to do this until it's not. I know some people are weird, no, we never tell them that's real,
Cool.
Do you?
Well, so we don't say that Santa is real, right? We'll also basically allow them, it's that magic of Christmas, and it's culturally there. So they'll ask the question sometimes a lot when they're younger, and say hey, is Santa real? When they're starting to maybe have questions or ponder the idea of Santa.
Ooh, plug that
Oh.
timestamp. That might be the first use of the word ponder outside of the title of this podcast. Touche.
I didn't know that was the name of the podcast. So
That's
all right.
amazing.
Yeah. So we'll basically pose the question back to them. It's what do you think? Do you think Santa's real?
You don't want to spoil it?
I don't know. I was so. Yeah, we don't want to necessarily spoil it for them, but if they
But your goal is to have critical thinking.
yeah, why do you think that? Okay, why don't you put these things together? So I'll say to them, yes, Santa was a real person.
Yeah.
Saint Nicholas, Nicene Council, punching Arius in the face.
Good teaching moment.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, in the spirit of what it is, why do we do that? Who was Santa? What are some of the mythologies around that allows us to celebrate the good of what God has done and the generosity that comes with belief in Christ? And you all right?
He's disrobing.
John, everything you said is gold and accurate, and I love it all. But I have to tell you that you've joined a very nonsensical podcast where we're just wild. We're listening, but somebody made a gesture that it was hot in here, and people started to be mildly inappropriate in the gestures of how to fix that, which would be removing clothing.
That would be you, Steve. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people. That's you,
Some
Steve.
unnamed individuals.
I do
Big
like that you. I said this in another question that we had a topic on here about like, hey, I think it was Halloween, the very first one. Like, I like the idea that we use this as an excuse of like teaching moment. I think it's a perfect opportunity to be like, yep, I think the world is going to show you this all over. The questions are inevitable. Here's an opportunity to tell you like where it came from, what it is, right? The actual reason. But yeah, I'm not going to rob you of like thinking it's cool, you know.
Well, you did bring up Saint Nicholas, and I was going to ask, like, you know, as someone who probably ascribes to a lot of church history and likes to know those things, do you bring that up with your kids? You say like, hey kids, this is where this idea is from, and he was a generous dude and things like that.
Yeah, we get into it. We've
a
done
jolly
some
old
readings
fellow.
on that, and kind of brought in some of the church history. I mean, my personal take in defining, what is it, like homoousios and homoousios, and trying to get into some of those questions. I do try to get my kids, if we ever do visit, like a Santa Claus and do pictures, to ask the question, all right, let's find out if the Santa Claus is the real Santa Claus. Is it homoousios or homoousios?
Mm.
And not a single Santa Claus has answered the question. They're always like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
what'd you call
It's
me?
like, you're a fake. You're a fake.
The guy just looks at your
This is
kid
not
like, I'm
the
a
real
mall
Santa.
Santa, bro. Calm down.
I think you smell like beef and cheese.
Sit on the throne of lies.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
so
as-
those are some of the things that we have brought up before in our conversations about Santa Claus. Jolly old Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, rosy cheeks.
So my wife has talked to me about this, and I don't really know where I land on it. You know, like I don't want to tell my kids that the mythical idea of Santa is real, but I do want to bring like the relevance of Saint Nicholas and like the idea behind it. And like use that as a teaching moment, but I don't want to like make my kid believe in something, and then later on they'll be like, he's not real, and then they're going to question if Jesus is real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the criticisms I hear a lot as a parent, as a pastor. Is like, well, I don't want to lie to my kids. Well, you don't have to lie to your kids about this. You're not necessarily going to create something. It's built into the culture enough that they're going to receive some of these things anyway, right? They're going to have this idea of like Santa Claus and some of the mythology behind it. But yeah, you can either, I think it's hard as a parent when you start off with, hey, like we're gonna Santa's presents or whatever. Also, by the way, just as a point, Santa doesn't give great presents in our house. Mom and Dad,
We
Mom
do
and
that
Dad
also.
give
We do
great
that also.
presents.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the
Yep.
fake fat man getting credit for
Right.
what the
That's
true
my fault.
fat man
That's right.
actually does give.
Yeah, we do the same
So,
thing. I didn't even think about it until Rachel said it. And Rachel was like, Santa's not getting credit for this. Like, we bought the big gift was that year. And it was like, no, that's for mom and dad.
Santa needs to bring underwear and socks.
That's right.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, like,
Santa brings the essentials.
so like yeah. So some of those things, like we've debated that. And, I think that's.
So one of the things, like when I say my 5-year-old won't, like I think she knows, right? If you had to say no, Voice, somebody's gonna die here, she's like, okay, Santa's not real. But she chooses to like live in the like he's a real guy, So she'll do. Rachel showed her like it's called reindeer food. Like you take a bag and put like oatmeal and sparkles and glitter, whatever, and like leave little. You put little dollops outside on the sidewalk, and you can make like little hoof marks. Right, it makes it look like, oh, somebody was here, and then like obviously the cookie and the milk is eaten. She loves that. It's just fun for her.
Yeah.
But she knows, like, when we sing worship songs, we do family worship time, we pray and anything real, like there's a big difference. I'm sure in your family too, like the culture of the mom and dad leading this as opposed to the fun with Christmas. Like we make sure it's overstated, like this is for fun. This is not. This is what we actually believe,
There's traditions and there's ways to make those things special for your kids, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's some of it. Just as a parent, like you really want them to love and appreciate this season because as Christians, we understand what the season actually is all about.
Mhm.
Hope has come.
That's right.
Salvation has come.
Yeah.
Reading Luke the morning of or the night before or whatever, before we get into any presents. Like, those are the kind of things, and those are the kind
Right.
of rhythms I want my kids to go, this is what this season is about.
Yeah.
And going to a faithful church that's going to preach that and is going to, I've been a part of churches where, like, they bring, like, a Santa Claus out, and I'm like, this is kind of a huge miss.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think at the one spot that would represent what it really is. It's not Target. It's
Right.
the church I'm at.
Yeah, Easter bunnies coming out on Easter. I was like, this is just like, how daft can you be? But
Do you guys do any kind of? So I like when you said on Christmas morning before we get into presents, we do the same thing. We're going through Luke. We're double tapping, making sure you know what's going on here. Yes, there's a tree and there's a lot of presents that you wake up to, but you need to understand why this exists.
Right.
Do you guys do like Rachel does the elf? Or sorry, not the elf.
Not the shelf elf?
I would burn that. I don't like any part
Elf
of it.
on the Shelf?
People think it's a cool idea. She does the shepherd boy. So there's a shepherd boy that like makes his way to the manger. Like he doesn't get there until Christmas morning. I don't know how it works, but it's like a Christian version of Elf on the Shelf. It's like a little shepherd that does things for 24 days of December. And then the 25th, he's at the manger doing something. But like everything is supposed to be leading up to him getting to Jesus. But I'll be honest, I don't know what half of it's about. I just know the little thing is like with a little note doing something somewhere the next morning.
Well, it's a good thing you have a good wife then. That's the other part of this is like, it's, as parents, like, you guys need to be on the same page about where's the emphasis and why is it there. Like, my wife still does Elf on the Shelf. I participate zero because I think it's retarded, but
I don't know what it is. Maybe we should add it.
It's just
that?
like
It's
the idea,
just
like the elf sits there and then he moves around and does things.
the elf reports back. There's a whole story that goes
Yeah,
to
what's
it.
the?
There's a movie about it.
Yeah.
What's the
Is he
movie?
just
Do you know
doing
the movie?
things,
Elf
or is
on the
there a
Shelf.
rhyme or reason?
Is that the movie name?
It
Is Elf on the
basically,
Shelf?
the elf can do whatever the parents want the elf to do. So
he's not
sometimes
real?
it's mischievous. Sometimes it's just silly or whatever it is. And so like there's
Just give me a
pieces
brain
of that.
aneurysm. He's not real.
So
Oh gosh.
Wait, the elf or Santa's not real?
We'd stop it. All right. Well, thanks for that lovely discussion. Go from Santa to Elf on the Shelf.
He's from the South Pole.
Here's.
he's an angry elf.
All right.
Call
so
me elf. One more time.
The next section we're going to talk about here is the origins of Christmas, and there's quite a few, I'd say, paganistic things that are influenced into Christmas, but the actual idea and the day of Christmas and the name of everything and celebrating it on the 25th of December is, when you look at church history, it's more Catholic in origin, given by the name.
Christianity's kind of Catholic in origin too.
Well, yeah, but like the name Christmas, which is like Christ Mass.
Yeah. What is Mass?
Well, Mass is their ceremony of repeating the crucifixion to show the atonement for sins. There's more to it. Do you know more?
I thought it was
You
just
wanna
like
explain?
Spanish, like
Go
Taco
ahead.
Bell, like
Your
Moss.
podcast.
More.
No, you can explain.
No, it's
I
all
don't
right.
remember all of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean it's focused in on the this idea of centrality of Christ's sacrifice. So you go back to the sacrament, right, of communion. Can we say sacrament here? Is that
That's fine.
we okay
Ordinance,
with
sacrament, that's fine.
All right. So it's kind of going back, pointing to that, and then you have, in essence, like Christ with us. The whole idea of Emmanuel.
Yeah, I used to be of the strong opinion that a lot of our Christmas traditions that we have today are more driven from like the Yule traditions with the tree and everything. And I listened to a thing the other day, and it was talking about the origins of Christmas and all of our traditions. And they would point to like the Middle Ages for where the tree came from. I don't know if that's true, but I could see the influence of like Yule celebrations on Christmas with some of the practices that we have, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, given the fact that the church has taken a paganistic day and made it into a Christian celebration, which that just shows to like reconciliation and redemption, which Christ does for all of us. You know.
Well, there's the three categories what we do with what the world has to offer. We can receive it, we can reject it, or we can redeem it. I think that's a lot of what you see in some Christian traditions and some celebrations. Is like what has been received. Do we accept it for what it is? Or is there a way to redeem it? And I think even down to like candy canes, right? I've seen like candy canes are like, oh, the reason why it's a candy cane because you put upside down it's a J, and this is the blood of Christ. Well, I mean, it's just like it's a shepherd's staff. I was like, you can also like hyper spiritualize things too, because candy canes are just like it's
Just candy. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think a lot of people get that, like, it almost feels Gnostic in the approach of, like, always looking for a meaning in something when there doesn't have to be.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, we all know that Mountain Dew, the reason why it's an M is because of like the mark of the beast.
So what's Baja Blast?
So delicious.
Yeah, besides delicious.
Oh, man.
It's only served at Taco Bell on draft.
On draft.
You can get it bottled now.
On draft.
You can get it in cans, too.
I don't think you can actually buy.
You can buy a 12-pack of it.
You can buy
Yeah,
a
no,
liter
I'm saying
too.
they only put it in the machines at Taco Bell.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's exclusive there. But we can get into the Taco Bell issues. Of
I did
like
see a really
why I'm
funny,
paying
like-
like $1.89 for a bean burrito, or $3 now.
Used
for
to be
a bean
69
burrito.
cent beefy 5-layer. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a $4 burrito now.
Yeah, it's a full-on meal.
I saw a really funny thing about Baja Blast the other day. It was like when you go to Taco Bell and order Baja Blast, and the guy behind the speaker was like, "You heretic, you will order the Baja Blast and enjoy it." Guy drives away drinking a Baja Blast.
It's one way to go about things.
It's a little intense, but that's what our culture's like, It's pretty intense. What you thought, Steve, on the origins? Looks
well,
like you.
me and ChatGPT were having a conversation about like how far back I can tie this tradition, and I'm gonna sum up with this: like, I really don't care when and what altered what.
Sure.
If there's, you know what I mean? Like, if there's ever an excuse for Christianity to be celebrated and put the truth out, like, even if Joe Schmo has no clue about the doctrine of sanctification, if he puts a little manger scene out there and little Jesus is out there and people are driving by to see the lights, like, man, that's better than Halloween with Jack Skellington, and they're like, I've never seen the movie, but that skeleton looks really cool. Dude, people have never read the Bible, but they can tell you what the manger scene is. Oh, it's supposed to be God coming down, I think it's a good excuse. I feel like if you dig into any tradition far enough, like, it's going to be so skewed and twisted at some point. We're just far from the original concept, wherever the origins were. But, like, I remember one of my first semesters here asking Woodward, like, hey, like, the birthday, right? Like, was Jesus born on December 25th? He's like, absolutely not. And he's like, that's besides the point, though. Like, you have a massive opportunity as a Christian in a fallen world to talk about the incarnation of God, right? Like, no one cares if he's born on the 20th or the 30th. The fact is he came down, right?
January 6th.
Or January 6th. What?
That's the Orthodox Christmas, I believe.
Yeah. Every time, see the world covered up J6 now. I hear J6 and I don't think about Jesus coming down. Think of the riots at the Capitol.
I think it's kind of like what your point is here is, and I think John would agree with this. It's kind of like what we talked about on the Halloween podcast, where it was like, it doesn't matter what the day is, it's an opportunity for the church to reach the lost, so use it.
Yeah.
People are going to
100%.
be out in mass. Why not try and invite them to something where you can spread the gospel?
Or they might be at Mass.
They could be at mass.
I still choose to believe, when you talk about Christ Mass, Christmas, I still think it's a Spanish, like, Taco Bell thing. More Christ.
Hey, that's a great way to take it. What do you think about Christmas? More Christ, baby.
That's right. I'll take a number one.
Live Moss, Christ Boss, baby.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
Taco Bell logo.
That should be on a shirt.
Feliz Navidad yourself.
Dude, did you see this John Morgan billboards where it says, like, Feliz Navidad or Lavidad? Have you seen it?
No.
Dude, that guy, so we know he's the world's largest law firm. He has the coolest ideas to throw on any billboard. It's amazing, bro. Like he's in a
He's got a
spacesuit.
good marketing team.
He's he's everywhere.
Terrible human being. Great marketing.
I mean, you can put me on a billboard if he wins me a mere what is it? Just a mere 1 billion earned or something crazy. He's massive, dude.
All right, well, back to the topic at hand. Let's wrap this up with our hope, and like why we celebrate this season at all, regardless of the origins or anything like that. We have this opportunity to spread the gospel, and that's really what it's all about. Christ coming down, and we get to focus on that and celebrate that.
I'll be honest, that felt like the opposite of a celebration. Felt like a funeral.
Let him hype us up. Come on, Baker.
Yeah, let him bake.
Baker.
Who is Baker playing this weekend?
And we're off on another tangent, folks.
I know this.
Come on.
It'll come to me in a second.
Vegas?
No.
The Raiders?
Dang it.
He's not playing the Raiders.
I don't know.
Isn't it Carolina?
No, it's
No, I thought they played
it's the
Carolina.
Chargers.
Oh, oof. That's a rough one.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Baker and Mike Evans versus the world. Okay. Thank you for, I think James said episode 7.
This is episode 7. Yep.
However,
But we always want to focus on, when we're closing out, though, is like the fact that the gospel is true. Christ has come. The whole point of Christmas is to celebrate the incarnation of Christ, I think for anybody that's wanting to, anybody that wants to really deep dive into Christ's incarnation, you can look, obviously, at the gospel accounts. But Hebrews chapter 2, 10 through 18 has a great focus on why Christ became a human for our sake,
Yeah, Christ has come. Christ is coming again. And I think that's like the hope. Hope has come, and like we as Christians get to live and should live in that hope, that reality of Christ's first advent, and then look forward in anticipation of his second advent.
I just need the Messiah to come back quickly. Lord, please come quickly.
Every single one of us in this room
Please!
will ask you for it quickly.
Quicker the better.
You know what?
To live is Christ, to die is gain, baby. Take me home.
That's a really solid note to end on.